Well, good morning. It is Friday, and I'm here with the breakout star of this channel, Milo, of course. This weekend, I'm heading back to Delaware to do the Rehoboth Outdoor Art Show. And the great thing about the Rehoboth Outdoor Art Show is that it takes place on 2 consecutive weekends. And if you do both weekends, you can leave your tent and display set up through the entire week, so you don't have to set up again when you come back for the second weekend. That meant that I got to spend the whole week at home here with my guy Milo. I fly out up to Baltimore shortly, and then have to drive out to Rehoboth for the weekend. This week I'm going to be going over the true cost of doing an art festival, and I'll be adding up all the expenses that I incur throughout the entire weekend in real time from start to finish. You want to sit on my lap? That's okay. So I think that's going to be really interesting for you guys to see exactly how much it costs to exhibit in an art festival like this, especially traveling states away and flying to and from shows like this. I get a lot of questions about, parking at the airport and what I do with my van and my artwork during the week when I fly to and from shows. So I'll be covering all of that in this video. My in-laws are on their way over to spend the day with Milo and also give me a ride to the airport. So I'm going to save some money on getting to the airport. And my flight to Baltimore today cost me only $29.09 on Spirit Airlines. I did use a travel credit that I had to pay for that, so I actually didn't spend any cash, but I'm going to count that expense towards this show because I could have used that travel credit for any other travel that I wanted to do. Also, at the end of the video, I'm going to tell you guys how all of this spending that I do on art shows allows me to travel for free all the time, and how you can travel for free very easily using the same methods that I use. So Milo's just going to finish his breakfast here and get ready for Grandma and Grandpa to come over so that I can get to the airport. It's really great when I can fly home in between art shows like this, because not only does it cost significantly less than staying in a hotel all week, especially when I can get flights for $29. I was able to get home on Sunday night. Usually there's a late flight that'll go to South Florida from pretty much all major cities across the country. So I can usually catch a late flight on Sunday, fly back home Sunday night, and then be home when Milo wakes up on Monday, and then head back to wherever the show is on either Thursday or Friday. In this case, I can go late on Friday because I don't have to worry about setting up this week. So I made it here to the airport in Baltimore. I parked at the long-term parking, so I'm just waiting for the shuttle now. It's supposed to be $11 per day. I don't know if that's calculated hourly or how they figure that out, so I'm not sure exactly how much it's going to cost, but I'll find out pretty soon here once the shuttle comes and takes me over there. Okay.
To calculate your parking fee, please scan your parking ticket.
Jeez. Okay, let's see how much this costs. Okay, $55. Not bad. Okay, so I just got here to my hotel for the weekend. Actually staying in a hotel in Dover, which is about an hour away from Rehoboth. I'm staying here in Dover because it's significantly less expensive to stay in Dover than it is to stay in Rehoboth, and driving the hour in the morning and then again after the show isn't really a big deal to me. So the hotel for the weekend is costing me $311.98, which is about what one night would cost me if I were to stay in actual Rehoboth, nice and close to the show. Last weekend I did actually stay in Rehoboth. I was able to get a mistake rate at a hotel in town. If you don't know what a mistake rate is, it's when a hotel makes available a rate on a room that they shouldn't have made available for significantly less than they should. And I ended up getting a decent hotel right in town for $80, which was insane because most places are $250 plus per night at this time of year. Rehoboth is like a beach vacation town, so this is like their super high season. Also, unfortunately, I had to stop at Taco Bell on the way over here to get something to eat tonight. I was hoping to stop at this Indian restaurant that I've eaten at over here before, but they were closed by the time I got there, so I had to stop at Taco Bell, which I don't really like doing, but it's really easy to get vegan food there, and it's quick and cheap. Then I also had a toll on the way over here on a bridge that was $2.50. So I'm gonna get ready for bed now and try and get right to sleep because I'm exhausted from traveling all day. We're really fortunate to have such a great weekend this weekend. All week it looked like there was this tropical storm that was moving up the coast, and it was going to make for a really wet day today here on Saturday, but the storm sped up and we have 2 beautiful days ahead of us here at the Rehoboth Art Show. Of course, one of the biggest expenses in doing an outdoor art festival is usually the booth fee. So the booth fee for this show is $800 to do 2 weekends for a single booth. So because I'm treating these as 2 separate shows, we'll count that as $400 for this show. There's also a $25 application fee, and that application fee goes for both shows, so we'll cut that in half to $12.50. And then you also have to be a member of the Rehoboth Art League to be able to apply to the show, and that costs $50 a year for an individual. We'll cut that in half, and that's $25 for this individual show, and we'll just keep adding that to the expense of this weekend. But in about 30 minutes when the show opens is the best part, where I get to stop spending money and hopefully start making money selling some of this artwork. So, end of the day on Saturday, gotta make the hour drive back to my hotel in Dover. I'm going to stop at that Indian restaurant tonight before they close and pick up some dinner. And I'm also going to get myself a lunch for tomorrow at the Indian place too, so I'll have something good to eat for lunch. Today I had some leftover sandwich bread from last week and peanut butter, and just made myself some peanut butter sandwiches for lunch and had some granola bars, so saved some money on lunch today. And I guess it was kind of good because it ended up being kind of a slow sales day for me today, but I want to make sure that I'm well fed and rested for tomorrow when all the big sales will happen, right? So it's a few days after the show. I'm here on Long Island in New York, where I grew up, to do my next show, which is out in Montauk this weekend. I've had a couple days to recover from the show in Rehoboth. Does anyone else get like an art show hangover for like a day or two after they do an art show? You just feel like really run down and kind of foggy. I know I do. I've also had some time to add up all of my expenses from the show this weekend, and we're going to go over and analyze them right now. Starting with what is almost always the biggest expense with any art show that I do, which is the cost of goods sold. And this weekend was no exception. This is by far the biggest expense that I incurred all weekend for the show, even though my sales this weekend were a little bit disappointing for me and much lower than they typically are for this show. I still had an expense of $1,146 this weekend. Let's go ahead and add that to the total. Plus I have to ship some custom orders to some people, and that's going to cost me another $220 in shipping fees, bringing my total expenses for the weekend to $2,321.42. So that's $2,321.42 that I've spent before I make a dime from the show this weekend. And these are just the expenses that I incurred from this individual show. That doesn't take into account a whole bunch of other expenses that I have. Things like the cost of the tent that I use, my display walls, my print bins, my van, insurance, tons of things also get added into this at the end of the year too, that are just ongoing expenses for running an art business. And while I may not attribute these expenses all to individual art shows, they are part of that expense that I incur throughout the entire year. Not to mention the cost of my time that is spent doing these art shows and setting up for them and producing new work and shooting new work, editing and printing and doing all of that. There are just so many expenses that go into running an art business like this that people don't even think of. So I think it's really important for a lot of artists out there to realize that you probably have way more expenses than you even realize on a daily or show-to-show basis. So at the beginning of this video, I told you guys I would let you know how all this spending that I do on art shows allows me to travel for free all the time. And the way that I do this is by putting all the spending that I do on art shows on a travel rewards credit card, specifically my favorites, the Venture X Business and the Venture X Personal by Capital One. Both of these cards give me 2 miles per dollar that I spend, so the money that I spent this weekend would give me a minimum of 4,642 miles, which is about half the amount of miles that I need for a one-way ticket to Europe. And the travel credit that I mentioned using in the beginning of this video to book the flight that I used to get to Rehoboth, I got through the Capital One credit card also, because every year I get a $300 credit on these cards that I can use to book any hotel, rental car, or flight that I want. So not only do I earn miles and points on the credit card, I get $300 in free travel every year just by having the credit card. And over the years, I've been able to rack up over 2 million Capital One points using this method. Plus, these cards usually have great sign-up bonuses that you can take advantage of to kind of jumpstart your miles and points earnings. I'm going to put a link to those in the description of this video, so if you're interested in checking these out, use those links and you'll get a great sign-up bonus. Now, I know I'm oversimplifying it a lot, and if you'd like to see me give a more in-depth explanation in another video, let me know in the comments and I can make a video. I could probably give a whole course about using miles and points to get free travel. And if you have any questions about it, actually, send me a message or leave a comment, and maybe I can help explain it a little bit better than I am here. So check those out, and please subscribe to my channel here. You're not going to want to miss the video that I have next week where I test out a brand new art show tent that I got that is going to save me hours and hours of time setting up and breaking down. You're not going to want to miss this one.